Okay, so imagine this. You move in with the man you're supposed to marry, leave your entire life behind, and suddenly you're sleeping on the couch in your own home. Not because you had a fight. No, no. Because his 8-year-old daughter gets the bed. And you? You're, you're basically treated like a stranger who's just crashing for the night. And that's not even the worst part of this story. But hold on, because today we're diving into 5 absolutely wild AITAH stories. From a woman trapped in what looks like textbook emotional abuse to a dad who thinks an engagement ring counts as a Christmas present. Yeah, you heard that right. These stories are going to have you yelling at your screen. I promise you that. Hey everyone, welcome back to AITAH Chronicles. If you're new here, this is where we break down the most jaw-dropping, thought-provoking Reddit AITAH stories, the kind that make you go, wait, what? Out loud. We're on a mission to hit 10K subscribers, and honestly, every single view, like, and subscribe gets us closer to that goal. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment letting me know which story had you the most heated. Trust me, today's lineup is intense. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's get into story number 1, and I'm warning you right now, this one's rough. Am I the asshole for telling my fiancé I will not babysit his daughter while he goes hunting? Okay, so let me just start by saying that this title alone is already sending me, but the actual post? The actual post? We need to unpack this because there's so much happening here that has nothing to do with babysitting and everything to do with this man being a walking collection of red flags. So our writer, she's 32, and she's got her own place in another town a couple hours away. Had her own spot, her own life, probably her own peace. But her fiance, who's 38, insisted they needed to be closer, so she moved in with him. And now, here's where it gets weird. She says she felt like he loved her more when she was away. Like, pause. Think about that for a second. The man begged you to move closer, and now that you're actually there, he's acting like you're a piece of furniture he impulse bought and regrets. That's not normal. That's the opposite of how this is supposed to work. But it gets even messier because every time she mentions going home to visit, the place where all her friends and family actually are, suddenly he transforms into a completely different person. He's nice, he's loving, he's all, please don't go, baby, I'll miss you so much. Then the second she agrees to stay, back to being distant and uninterested. My guy is literally playing emotional games, and she's somehow the one wondering if she did something wrong. Now, let's talk about these hunting trips because I need everyone to understand how wild this is. He goes hunting almost every Sunday. Like it's his second job at this point. Yesterday, this man was gone for 12 hours. 12! That's literally half a day. That's longer than most people's work shifts. And he didn't call her once. Not one single time to let her know when he'd be back. She sent him a sweet good morning message and he said he'd call, then just didn't. For 6 whole hours. By the time it's getting dark, she's obviously worried because her fiancé has been gone all day with zero communication, so she sends another message asking if everything's okay. And this man just casually texts back like, oh yeah, I lost the dogs, searching for them. No apology for not calling. No, sorry I worried you. He gets home super late and doesn't even acknowledge that he had her stressed out all day. The audacity. But honestly, we haven't even gotten to the wildest part yet, and I need you to be sitting down for this. His daughter comes over every other weekend, right? She's 8 years old, and this child does not know the writer's real name. Let me repeat that because it sounds fake, but it's real. The daughter doesn't know her real name. Why? Because he hasn't told his daughter that they're together. They'd been engaged for 9 months, and this man is out here playing pretend like his fiancée is just some random lady who hangs around sometimes. Oh, and it gets better. You want to know where our writer sleeps when the daughter visits? The couch. The couch. In what's supposed to be her home, too. The 8-year-old sleeps in their bed, and this grown woman who pays for groceries and does all the housework gets demoted to couch sleeping like she's some distant relative crashing for the night. Make it make sense. He says he's taking it slowly with telling his daughter about their relationship. Slowly? My brother in Christ, it's been 9 months. At this point, you're not taking it slow. You're just straight up lying to your kid. And honestly, it's cruel to everyone involved. Cruel to the daughter who deserves honesty, and cruel to the writer who's being treated like a secret. The daughter was apparently really protective at first, making sure dad doesn't touch the writer, doesn't even look at her, which, okay, that's kind of normal for kids when parents start dating. They're protective, they're adjusting, whatever. But 9 months is more than enough time to have a basic, age appropriate conversation about relationships. Here's where it gets really twisted, though. The daughter has actually warmed up to our writer now. She's accepted her, wants to spend more and more time with her. They're bonding. You'd think the dad would be happy about this, right? His daughter and his fiancé getting along? Nope. It apparently bothers him. He's literally jealous that his daughter is getting closer to the writer instead of him, which is absolutely rich coming from the man who disappears every Sunday for 12 hours to hunt and can't even tell his kid that this woman is going to be her stepmom. Like, sir, what did you expect? You can't be an absent father and then get salty when your kid bonds with the person who's actually present and paying attention to her. That's not how this works. So our writer, being completely reasonable, tells him this morning that she's planning to go home for the weekend so he can spend quality time alone with his daughter. You know, actual father-daughter bonding time that he apparently never gets because he's too busy hunting or being distant or whatever else he does. And this man gets upset, like actually mad at her for this. He says, "Is this how you will behave when we get married? Want to leave whenever you want?" I'm sorry, what? This woman has left her entire life behind. All her family and friends are in her hometown. She literally doesn't have anyone where he lives except him. And she wants to visit occasionally, and he's acting like she's being unreasonable. She's literally trying to give him what he supposedly wants, time with his daughter, and he's twisting it into her being difficult. The, the manipulation is insane. Then she finally speaks up for herself, and honestly, good for her. She says, "Look, I don't want to sleep on the couch anymore. I don't want to entertain your daughter while you're out hunting when she doesn't even know my real name," which is the most valid thing I've ever heard. She's not saying she won't spend time with the kid. She's saying she's done being the free babysitter with zero acknowledgement while he runs off to do whatever he wants. And how does Prince Charming respond to this very reasonable boundary? He starts making excuses, gets loud, and storms out of the house. Classic move of someone who knows they're wrong, but instead of admitting it, they just get angry and bounce. Real mature. But wait, we're not done because we need to talk about what her actual daily life looks like, and I'm getting stressed just typing this out. She works from home and has a demanding job, but on top of her actual work, she does all the housework. Everything. Cooking, cleaning, laundry. Oh, and she also takes care of his son, who lives with them full time. A whole other child we didn't even know about until now because there's so much chaos in this post. She spends her own money on all the grocery shopping, everything the house needs. He even uses her car to run errands when he has his own perfectly good car. And this man has never, not once, said thank you. Never asked if she needs anything. Never acknowledged everything she does. She's basically running his entire household, raising his kid, funding the groceries, and he can't even give her a basic, "Hey, I appreciate you." Then there's this flower story that genuinely made me want to throw my phone. He told her, "I was going to buy you flowers, but I realized you have nothing to put them in. First of all, then buy a vase too? It's not rocket science. Or put them in literally anything. A cup, a jar, a cleaned out pasta sauce container. I don't care. This is the lamest excuse I've ever heard for not doing something nice for your partner." What he's really saying is, "I thought about being thoughtful for like 30 seconds and then decided it was too much effort, so here's a BS excuse." She almost broke down in tears. And honestly, I would too, because that's so dismissive. She says she feels unappreciated, undervalued, and exhausted from trying. Because she is all those things. This man is taking complete advantage of her, and she's bending over backwards, trying to be enough for someone who doesn't even see her value. Now, here's where the story gets even darker. When they first started dating, he was apparently super loving and caring, romantic, always ready to listen to her. He told her she was not like other girls, which is Red flag number one, because any man who says that has definitely said it to every woman before you. He begged her to be with him, begged her to move in. This is textbook love bombing behavior. Then slowly, he started being distant. So distant that when she tries to talk to him now, he just stares at her, rolls his eyes, and literally turns away. Sometimes he tells her, "You give me negative vibes," and makes her feel bad for even trying to communicate. So she stopped. She stopped initiating talks, stopped trying to connect. It's because he's trained her to expect rejection and coldness. This is emotional abuse, like straight up textbook emotional abuse. He's conditioned her to not even speak to him about her feelings or needs. But then, and this is the really insidious part, there are random times when he's super nice and funny and loving again. Just enough good moments sprinkled in to keep her confused and hopeful. This is called intermittent reinforcement, and it's literally a manipulation tactic. You give someone just enough positive attention that they keep hoping things will go back to how they were in the beginning. Spoiler alert, they won't. This is who he is now. The beginning was the act. People are asking why she's with him, and her answer broke my heart into pieces. In her culture, it's bad for a woman to go from one man to another. She was married before this. It took her a long time to be with someone else, and he's only the second man she's been with romantically. And this absolute trash pile of a human being uses this against her. He makes her feel guilty, tells her she'll embarrass her family name if she leaves. He weaponizes her culture and her values to trap her. But it gets even worse, and I didn't think it could, but here we are. He sometimes tells her he's not even sure if he wants to marry her because he doesn't know for sure how many men she's been with. She lives alone, and he apparently finds it very hard to believe that she didn't sleep with anyone after her ex-husband. So not only is he controlling, manipulative, and emotionally abusive, he's also calling her a liar and constantly questioning her character and her past. She says she gets tired of justifying herself, and she absolutely should be tired because she shouldn't have to justify anything to someone who's supposed to love and trust her. And the saddest part of this entire thing, she's staying because of how good he was in the beginning and those occasional random times when he's nice now. Those tiny breadcrumbs of decent treatment are what's keeping her going. This woman has been so beaten down that she's grateful for the bare minimum, for those rare moments when he acts like a halfway decent partner. All right, so let's actually answer the question she asked. Am I the asshole for telling my fiancé I will not babysit his daughter while he goes hunting? Absolutely not. No. Nope. Not even a tiny bit. The writer is not the asshole here, not even close. But real talk, that's not even the question she should be asking. The real question is, am I the asshole to myself for staying in this situation? And girl, you are doing yourself so dirty by staying with this man. This dude moved you away from your entire support system, treats you like unpaid household staff, hides your relationship from his daughter after 9 months, disappears for 12 hours without communication, uses your car and your money, never shows appreciation for anything you do, emotionally manipulates you with hot and cold behavior, uses your cultural values as a weapon against you, questions your integrity and past, and then has the audacity to get mad when you set one completely reasonable boundary about not wanting to babysit while sleeping on the couch like a stranger. You're not his partner. You're his bangmaid that he can't even publicly acknowledge in front of his own children. And he's somehow convinced you that you might be the problem here for not wanting to sleep on a couch and watch his kid while he's off doing whatever for half a day. Writer, if you're somehow reading this, please listen. Go back to your place, the one in the other town where your actual friends and family are. You said you felt like he loved you more when you were away, and you know why? Because he liked the idea of you more than the actual reality of you. He wanted someone he could control, someone who would make his life easier and ask for nothing in return. The second you moved in full time, you stopped being a person to him and became a utility. The fact that you're even asking if you're the asshole for this one boundary when you've been accepting sleeping on couches, hiding who you are, doing all the work, paying for everything, and being emotionally neglected tells me exactly how much this man has destroyed your sense of what's normal and acceptable in a relationship. You deserve someone who's proud to call you their partner, someone who introduces you properly to their kids, someone who says thank you when you do things for them, someone who buys you flowers and a vase, someone who doesn't disappear for 12 hours without calling, someone who doesn't make you feel like you're giving negative vibes just for trying to have a conversation, someone who doesn't use your culture and your past against you. Your family might have opinions about you leaving, but you know what? They'll get over it. You know what's actually embarrassing? Staying with someone who treats you like this. You know what's actually shameful? A man who uses his partner's deeply held cultural values as ammunition to keep them trapped in a bad relationship. So here's my final verdict. Not the asshole. Not even in the same universe as being the asshole. And please, please pack your stuff the next time he goes on one of his 12-hour hunting trips and go back to your own place and don't look back. You deserve so much better than this, and I'm genuinely worried about you. Am I the asshole for making my fiance's daughter's picky eating habits a deal breaker for us marrying? Okay, so before we even dive into this post, I just want to say the title alone already has people divided in the comments, and I can see why. Making a kid's eating habits a deal breaker for marriage sounds intense on the surface, but let's get into the actual details because there's way more happening here than just chicken tenders and French fries. So, our writer is a 28-year-old single mom with an 8-year-old daughter, and she's engaged to a 27-year-old guy who also has an 8-year-old daughter. Cute setup, right? Two single parents finding love, their daughters are the same age, and apparently best friends who are excited to become sisters. Sounds like a Hallmark movie in the making. Now, for some context, during the first half of their relationship, her fiance was going through a court battle and only had his daughter every other weekend. So they mostly did activities as play dates. The daughter took a quick liking to our writer. Everyone's getting along great. The girls are bonding, becoming best friends. Everything seems pretty ideal so far. But then he gets granted 50-50 custody, which is great for him. Congrats on winning that court battle. And they start spending way more time together as a blended family unit. And this is when our writer starts noticing something that's setting off alarm bells for her. His daughter is an extremely picky eater. And when she says picky, she's not talking about a kid who doesn't like mushrooms or picks the onions out of things. She's talking about a kid whose favorite foods are the holy trinity of chicken tenders, French fries, and pizza, which, like, honestly relatable because those foods slap, but also that's basically the diet of a college freshman. Not exactly what you want for a growing 8-year-old. Now, before everyone jumps down her throat, our writer made sure to clarify right at the beginning that no, the daughter doesn't have sensory issues, isn't neurodivergent, and doesn't have any mental disorders that might affect her eating habits. She anticipated that question and shut it down immediately, which tells me she's probably already gotten dragged in the comments or knows exactly how Reddit works. This whole situation is immediately sending up red flags for our writer because she's a strong believer in the importance of a healthy, well-balanced diet, especially for children. And honestly, fair. Like, kids need nutrients and vegetables and variety, not just beige foods that come in nugget form. Here's where her perspective gets interesting, though. She's in the military and was actually away from her own daughter for 2 years, from ages 3 to 5. When she got her daughter back at 5.5, her kid had also become very picky. So she's literally been in this exact situation before. She made it a priority to fix that habit. It took about 6 months of easing her daughter into new foods, and now her kid readily eats just about anything and is willing to try new things. She's originally from a different country and they visit regularly, plus they travel to explore other countries. So having a child who's easygoing with food is important to her lifestyle, which makes complete sense. If you're traveling internationally and your kid only eats chicken tenders, you're going to have a rough time. Not every country has a McDonald's on every corner, you know? So this has been an ongoing conversation between her and her fiance. She shared the tips that worked for her countless times. She's not just complaining about the problem, She's actively trying to help him solve it by sharing her own experience and strategies. That's actually pretty supportive if you think about it. Now, let's get to last night, the incident that apparently broke the camel's back. They went out for Chinese food and ordered several plates. His daughter tried two absolutely minuscule bites of new foods, pot stickers and General Tso's chicken, made faces at both, and then just had chicken fried rice for dinner. And even then, she ate all her chicken and picked at the individual grains of rice to avoid eating any carrots or green beans. Okay, pause. This child is literally sorting through fried rice grain by grain to avoid vegetables. That's not just picky eating, that's a whole mission. That's dedication to vegetable avoidance. I'm almost impressed by the commitment. Her dad didn't say much except suggesting she try to eat some vegetables, and she just refused and he didn't push the issue at all. He told her no dessert if she didn't try to eat her vegetables, which sounds like he's setting a boundary, right? But then when her fortune cookie came, he didn't stop her from eating it or taking her lollipop home. So he set a consequence and then immediately didn't follow through. That's textbook inconsistent parenting right there. You can't say no dessert unless you eat vegetables and then let the kid have dessert anyway. That teaches her that dad's rules don't actually mean anything and she can just wait him out. Our writer was frustrated watching this go down, and honestly, I get it. It's hard to watch someone parent in a way that completely goes against what you believe in, especially when you're about to merge families and, this is going to become your problem too. So last night, it all got to her, and this morning, when they talked about it, she told him straight up uh, that his lack of serious effort in trying to modify and improve his daughter's eating habits is a deal breaker. She said she's not willing to combine households until he makes significant progress on it. He was obviously upset about this. And yeah, I'd probably be upset too if my fiance hit me with an ultimatum before coffee, and he says she's being unfair and not giving him enough time. But from her perspective, she's seen almost no effort in his parenting techniques or strategies in the 6 months he's had his daughter half time. 6 months. That's not nothing. That's enough time to at least start implementing some changes or trying new approaches. And then she drops this bomb. She says she could write almost the exact same post about his daughter's education. Oh, oh no. Here we go. Turns out this is the daughter's second year in second grade. She got held back because she couldn't read, and she's still reading at a first grade level. And once again, her fiance isn't making any significant effort to prioritize this or make progress. Now, our writer also has experience with this. When she got her daughter back, her kid was significantly behind on learning to read too. She scored so low on state reading tests in kindergarten and first grade that she qualified for free books program, so our writer had to turn that around as well. And now her daughter reads 2 grade levels above her age and is a complete bookworm. So we've got a pattern here. This isn't just about vegetables. It's about a fundamental difference in parenting approaches. Our writer sees problems and actively works to fix them. Her fiance sees problems and just doesn't really do anything about them, or does the bare minimum and hopes they resolve themselves. And here's what's really getting to her. She's genuinely starting to feel like this man is simply expecting her to take over all the hard parts of parenting, and he's just waiting it out until then, which is a very valid concern. He keeps saying he'll back her up on anything she wants to enforce once they move in together, but she can see exactly how that's going to play out. She'll become the evil stepmother who suddenly shows up and changes everything, enforces all these new rules about eating vegetables and doing reading homework, and his daughter will quickly resent her for it. Meanwhile, dad gets to be the fun parent who never enforced anything and now gets to act like he's on his daughter's side against the mean new stepmom. That's a recipe for disaster, and she can see it coming from a mile away. She makes it very clear that she has no issues with the daughter herself. In fact, she says children are completely innocent in situations like this, which is absolutely true. This is a complete incompatibility in parenting beliefs, and it's causing her to have serious doubts about combining their families. Then she asks, am I the asshole for delaying or even breaking off our engagement over this? And she adds an edit because apparently people are already calling her a wicked stepmother in the comments, which is wild because she hasn't done or enforced anything on his daughter. She knows her place right now, and she doesn't want the kid to hate her while they're still establishing trust. These are solely conversations between her and her fiancé and her inner concerns. She and the daughter adore each other, and the daughter's mom is even supportive of their relationship, offering to let them have the daughter for Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. Okay, so let's break this all down because there's a lot to unpack. First of all, is she being a little intense about the vegetables? Maybe slightly, but I don't think she's wrong. An 8-year-old who won't eat a single vegetable and is sorting through rice to avoid carrots has probably never been consistently required to try new foods or eat healthy things. That's a learned behavior that came from years of dad giving in every single time. The reading thing, though, that's where this gets serious for me. A kid who's been held back a year and is still reading below grade level needs intervention. That's not something that just fixes itself. Without serious help and effort now, that gap is only going to get wider as she gets older. By the time she's in middle school, if she's still reading at an elementary level, she's going to struggle in every single subject because everything requires reading comprehension. Our writer turned both of these situations around with her own daughter. So she's not just theorizing or being judgmental. She has literal proof that with effort and consistency, these problems can be solved. She's offering to share her strategies and experience, and her fiance is basically just nodding along and doing nothing. The real issue here isn't vegetables or books. It's that this man appears to be a passive parent. He sees his daughter struggling, and instead of actively working to help her, he's just waiting for someone else to step in and fix it. And that someone else is clearly meant to be our writer. He's literally saying, I'll back you up on anything once we move in together, which is code for you handle all the hard stuff and I'll just agree with you when you enforce rules. That's not co-parenting. That's dumping all the difficult parts of raising his child onto his new wife while he gets to maintain the cool dad image. And she's absolutely right that this sets her up to be the villain. If she moves in and suddenly this kid who's been eating chicken tenders for every meal is being told she has to try vegetables, and the kid who's never had to do serious homework is suddenly doing reading practice every night, who do you think that kid is going to blame? Not her dad, who's been letting her do whatever for years, that's for sure. She's going to blame the new lady who showed up and ruined everything. The fact that the daughter's mom is supportive and everyone gets along is actually almost making this worse in a way, because it shows that the potential is there for a great blended family situation. The problem isn't the kids, it's not the ex, it's not even our writer. It's specifically her fiance's parenting approach, or lack thereof. Now let's address the people calling her a wicked stepmother. Are you kidding me? She's trying to prevent becoming the wicked stepmother by addressing these issues before they move in together. She's not swooping in and taking over. She's asking her fiancé to step up and parent his own child. That's literally the opposite of overstepping. And can we talk about how she's willing to delay or break off an engagement over this? That's not being petty or trivial. That's being realistic about what marriage and blended families actually require. She's looking at the long-term consequences of their parenting incompatibility and making hard choices now instead of hoping it'll magically get better after they say, I do. Because here's the thing, it won't get better. If he's not motivated to help his daughter learn to read when she's already a year behind, what's going to motivate him after the wedding? If he can't enforce a simple eat your vegetables to get dessert rule now, why would that suddenly change when they share a house? Some people might say she's being too controlling or expecting too much, but I disagree. Wanting your partner to actively parent their child and help them succeed academically and nutritionally is not a wild expectation. Those are basic parenting responsibilities. The vegetables thing on its own, maybe that could slide depending on your parenting philosophy. Not everyone is super strict about food, and some kids do grow out of picky eating eventually. But combined with the reading issue and the overall pattern of him not addressing problems, That's a legitimate concern about his ability and willingness to parent. And let's keep it real. Our writer has been in the military, was separated from her daughter for 2 years, came back and had to undo a bunch of behaviors her daughter had learned, successfully turned around both the picky eating and the reading struggles, travels internationally, and is clearly very involved and proactive in her child's development. She's not some random person judging from the sidelines. She's someone who's already proven she can handle difficult parenting situations and is watching her future husband fail to do the same. She's also being smart about the step-parent dynamic. She knows that if she tries to enforce rules before they're married or living together, she'll be overstepping. But she also knows that if she waits until after they move in, she'll be the bad guy making all these changes. So she's asking him to step up now, while these are still his rules for his daughter, so that by the time they combine households, there's already a foundation of healthy eating and reading practice. That's actually really thoughtful. She's trying to set everyone up for success. And he's responding by saying she's being unfair and not giving him enough time when he's had 6 months of 50-50 custody and hasn't done anything. Here's my take. She's not being an asshole about the vegetables specifically. She's recognizing a pattern of passive parenting that's going to make their future blended family a nightmare. The vegetables and the reading are symptoms of a bigger problem, which is that her fiancé doesn't seem to want to do the hard work of parenting. And honestly, good for her for recognizing this before the wedding instead of after. So many people ignore red flags during engagement and then act shocked when those same issues blow up their marriage. She's being realistic about what she's signing up for. So here's my verdict. The writer is not the asshole. She's not making unreasonable demands. She's not trying to take over parenting his daughter. She's not being cruel or mean to the kid. She's asking her fiancé to actively parent his child in two really important areas, nutrition and education. And she's willing to walk away if he won't step up. That's not being a wicked stepmother. That's having standards and boundaries. That's looking at the reality of what combining families would actually look like and deciding she's not willing to be the only adult doing the hard work while he coasts by and lets his daughter struggle. The people dragging her in the comments are missing the forest for the trees. This isn't about forcing a kid to eat broccoli. It's about a fundamental incompatibility in how they approach parenting challenges. And that's absolutely a valid reason to reconsider a marriage, especially when kids are involved. Writer, you're being responsible and realistic. If your fiance can't step up and help his daughter with basic things like reading at grade level and eating a vegetable occasionally, that's a him problem, not a you problem. Don't let people guilt you into ignoring your very valid concerns about his parenting just because you're not the biological parent. You're about to become a step parent, and you're smart enough to see that this situation is being set up for you to fail. Stick to your guns. He either needs to show real effort and progress, or you need to seriously reconsider if this is the right partnership for you and your daughter. Not the asshole, not even a little bit. Am I the asshole for getting in a fight with my girlfriend on her B-day because she was being picky with the food I cooked her, bro? Okay, so we've got a 29-year-old guy asking if he's the asshole for fighting with his girlfriend on her birthday over breakfast. And I'm going to be real with you. This one had me going back and forth more times than a tennis match. Let me break this down because there's layers to this situation like an onion, and some of them are making me want to cry. So our writer has been with his girlfriend for 3 years, and he wanted to do something sweet for her birthday by making her breakfast in bed. Hey, cute concept, right? Very thoughtful, very romantic. I'm on board so far. But before we get into the actual drama, he gives us some background about his girlfriend being a picky eater. Now, when he says picky eater, he doesn't mean she only eats chicken nuggets or whatever. He means she'll try things. But if the food doesn't blow her mind or make her happy and excited to eat it, she won't finish it. Which, like, okay, I guess everyone has preferences, but this already feels like we're setting up for some high standards in the food department. He mentions this caused problems early in their relationship when he was still learning to cook for her because neither of them knew how to cook at first. But nowadays, he's adjusted to her palate, gotten way better at cooking, and hasn't had issues since the beginning. So he's put in the work, learned what she likes, and has been successfully feeding this woman for a while now. Props to him for that, honestly. Flash forward to yesterday, her birthday. He decides to make breakfast burritos with sides of eggs, hash browns, sausage, and bacon. He's made this for her before, and she's told him it's one of her favorite things he makes. So he's going into this with complete confidence, zero stress, thinking he's about to nail this birthday breakfast. My guy is probably feeling pretty good about himself at this point. Then disaster strikes in the form of dairy products. He starts making the eggs and realizes they only have 2% milk in the house. His girlfriend prefers whole milk because it makes the eggs creamier. Now, here's where he makes his choice. He's already halfway through cooking, doesn't want to involve her and ruin the surprise, so he just uses the 2% milk instead, thinking it won't be that big of a difference. And look, I get it. He's in the middle of cooking. He wants to surprise her. Running out to the store would take like 30 minutes and completely ruin the whole breakfast in bed vibe. It's just milk, right? How different can 2% be from whole milk? Surely she won't notice or care that much on her birthday when he's putting in all this effort. Oh, buddy. Oh, my sweet summer child. He was incredibly wrong. So he sets everything up all nice, lights her favorite scented candles, puts on their favorite show, brings her the plate of food. She's excited for a hot second, and then she pauses. Uh-oh. She asks him, "Did you have to run out and get whole milk? Because I noticed we ran out the other day, and you need whole milk for eggs." First of all, this woman has the taste buds of a professional food critic because she clocked that milk situation immediately. She didn't even take a bite yet and already knew something was up. That's honestly impressive in a terrifying sort of way. He tells her no, he just used 2% because he couldn't stop halfway through to run out for 30 minutes. And here's where things get wild. She sighs and starts tearing up because now she can't eat anything with eggs in it. Okay, so let's pause here because this is where I started having questions. She's tearing up over milk percentage on her birthday, over food she hasn't even tasted yet. She says she tried 2% milk eggs once when she was little and didn't like it. So now she's disappointed and will only eat the hash browns and meat. Now, I don't know about you, but trying something once as a child and deciding you'll never eat it again as an adult is kind of wild to me. Kids hate everything. I used to hate tomatoes, and now I eat them like apples. Taste buds change, but apparently not hers, and she's so committed to this that she won't even try one bite of the burrito to see if it's actually bad, or if maybe, just maybe, her adult taste buds might feel differently. Our writer begs her to at least try a bite because he really doesn't want to start her birthday off on a bad note, which is totally reasonable. He put in effort. He made her favorite breakfast. The only difference is milk fat percentage. But she refuses. Won't even try the burrito because it has egg in it. This is where he's getting annoyed. And honestly, I can't blame him for feeling some type of way about this. But to his credit, he stays calm and doesn't make things worse. He's being the bigger person here, swallowing his frustration, trying to move past it. They move on from the breakfast incident, and he focuses on keeping her happy for the rest of her birthday. Things are going well. Crisis averted. They make it through the whole day without another incident and end up at her parents' house for dinner. Everything's fine until they're literally leaving. And this is where girlfriend absolutely nukes the entire situation from orbit. As they're saying goodbye, she says, and I need you to really absorb this, "I'm glad we got to see you guys, and thank you, Dad, for cooking dinner, because I need at least one guy in my life that knows how to cook good food." Excuse me? In front of her parents? Throwing him under the bus like he's a terrible cook when this man has spent 3 years learning her incredibly specific palate and cooking her favorite meals. And our writer specifically says the tone was not playful and she was staring straight at him with a serious face when she said it. That's not a joke. That's not teasing. That's a targeted insult designed to embarrass him in front of her family because she's still mad about the milk situation from 12 hours ago. That's genuinely mean. He was caught completely off guard, immediately got frustrated, as anyone would, and they got in a fight on the drive home and barely spoke the rest of the night. Now he feels terrible because it was her birthday, but he genuinely doesn't feel like he did anything that wrong. He made a mistake with the eggs, sure, but she was the one who brought it back up to make him look bad and turn it into a big deal. So let's talk about this because there's blame on both sides here, but it's not distributed equally. Did he mess up by using 2% milk instead of whole milk? Technically, yes, but it was a judgment call. He was trying to preserve the surprise and didn't think it would be a huge difference. Could he have just paused everything and run to the store? Also, yes, but that would have ruined the whole breakfast in bed surprise element. It's not like he used orange juice in the eggs or something completely wild. It's a different fat percentage of the same ingredient. Should she have at least tried one bite before completely refusing to eat the burritos? Absolutely yes. This man woke up early on her birthday to make her breakfast in bed with her favorite meal, lit candles, set up their show, put in all this effort, and she wouldn't even taste it because of a milk choice, based on something she tried once as a literal child. That's pretty harsh, not gonna lie. At least give it a chance before you reject the whole thing. But here's where it really tips for me. The comment at her parents' house was completely out of line. That wasn't her being disappointed or picky. That was her being deliberately hurtful and embarrassing him in front of her family. You don't publicly disrespect your partner like that, especially over something as minor as milk in eggs. That's the kind of comment that stays with someone, you know? That cuts deep because it wasn't said in the heat of the moment during the breakfast situation. It was calculated revenge hours later. If she was still upset about the breakfast, she should have communicated that to him privately, like an adult, not waited until they were with her parents so she could humiliate him in front of them. That's passive aggressive behavior, and it's not okay, regardless of whose birthday it is. And let's be real about the bigger picture here. This woman has her boyfriend of 3 years on such a tight leash with food that he's terrified of getting it wrong. He said in the beginning he was trying to hone his cooking skills for her and had to adjust to her palate. This man has molded his entire cooking style around her extremely specific preferences to the point where using a slightly different milk causes a breakdown. I'm not saying people can't have preferences, but there's a difference between preferences and being so rigid that you can't even try something because it might not be absolutely perfect. That's exhausting for a partner to deal with. Imagine cooking for someone where anything less than blowing their mind means they won't finish it. That's a ton of pressure for every single meal. The tearing up over the milk thing also feels a bit manipulative to me. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but crying because your boyfriend used 2% instead of whole milk in eggs he made you for your birthday feels like an overreaction designed to make him feel guilty, which it did. He spent the whole rest of the day trying to make her happy and overcompensate for the milk thing. Now, look, I know it was her birthday and birthdays can make people emotional, and maybe she had specific expectations for how the day would go. I get that. But being an adult means managing your disappointment with grace, especially when someone is clearly trying their best to do something nice for you. She could have been disappointed about the milk thing internally, still appreciated the effort, maybe even tried the food anyway and discovered it was fine. Instead, she made it into a whole thing that lasted the entire day. So, here's my verdict. The writer is not the asshole. Could he have handled the milk situation differently? Sure. But his girlfriend's reaction was disproportionate to the mistake, and her comment at her parents' house crossed a major line. You don't publicly humiliate your partner because they used the wrong milk in your birthday breakfast. That's not being a picky eater. That's being mean. The fight didn't happen because he messed up the eggs. The fight happened because she deliberately insulted him in front of her family hours after the initial incident. He tried to move past it, tried to make her day special despite the rocky start, and she threw it back in his face. Writer, you didn't ruin her birthday. You made a minor substitution in a recipe, and she chose to let that define her entire day. Then she chose to take a shot at you in front of her parents instead of communicating like an adult. Those were her choices, not yours. Maybe have a conversation when things cool down about how that comment made you feel and about realistic expectations around food and cooking. Because if this relationship is going to work long term, she needs to understand that perfection isn't sustainable and you're a partner, not a personal chef who gets sent back to culinary school for using 2% milk. Not the asshole, my guy. Not even close. Am I the asshole for telling my friend that proposing is not a suitable Christmas present? All right, so we've got someone asking if they're the asshole for telling their friend that an engagement ring doesn't count as a Christmas present. And honestly, this one has me scratching my head because, like, is this even a debate? But let's get into it because apparently it is. Our writer has a friend named Harry. Well, not his real name, but we're calling him Harry. And they've known each other for over a decade. They're in their early 30s. Harry was part of the writer's wedding party. And 99 times out of 100, he's apparently an all round great guy. So we're not talking about some random acquaintance or a problematic friend. This is a solid long term friendship with someone who's generally pretty awesome. Harry's been dating his girlfriend for around 4 years, and our writer says she's an absolute diamond who brings out all the best qualities in him. Love that for them. When your friends find good partners who make them better people, that's genuinely beautiful, and you love to see it. Now, a couple weeks ago, Harry confides in our writer that he's planning to propose to his girlfriend over Christmas. Already, I'm getting feelings about this because Christmas proposals are, well, they're a choice. But let's hear him out. His girlfriend is very family focused, which honestly makes sense for why he'd choose a family holiday. And he's setting up this whole elaborate thing where his parents will unexpectedly visit them early in the morning. They're doing Christmas with her family this year. And he's going to propose during present opening in front of both sets of parents, her siblings, their partners, and their kids. Okay, so that's a lot of people for a proposal. Like, that's basically a whole audience. But our writer mentions in an edit that getting engaged in front of family would suit his partner to a T based on previous conversations. So at least Harry knows his girlfriend well enough to know she'd want this kind of public proposal. Some people would have a panic attack being proposed to in front of that many family members, but if she's into it, then cool. He's doing his homework on that front at least. So far, everything seems fine, right? Guy wants to propose to his long-term girlfriend in a way that would make her happy, involving her family because she values that. Sweet, thoughtful, no red flags yet. But then we get to the conversation that happened a couple days ago, and this is where things get weird. Harry makes a throwaway comment about the engagement saving him some time in relation to the rest of his Christmas shopping. And our writer is like, wait, what do you mean by that? Which is exactly what I would have asked too, because that's a suspicious thing to say. Harry says that since he's proposing, he hadn't planned to get his partner anything else for Christmas. I'm sorry. What? He's not getting her any other presents because the ring counts as her Christmas gift? My guy, no. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Our writer very reasonably points out that the two things are not mutually exclusive. They got engaged themselves, and even though it wasn't at Christmas, their husband still got them a birthday present the following month. A proposal and an engagement ring is not a substitute for regular gift-giving occasions. It's its own separate special thing. Harry's defense is that the ring is costing him more than several usual Christmas and birthday presents combined, which, like, yeah, engagement rings are expensive. We get it. But our writer points out that it's not like he's scraping together every last penny to afford the ring either. He's not choosing between feeding himself and buying this ring. There is absolutely money to spare for a couple of gifts that he'd normally get his partner anyway. And then our writer makes an excellent point that I don't think Harry has considered at all. If he's hoping to surprise her with the proposal, it's going to become pretty obvious that something's up if there are literally no presents for her from him under the tree. Like, picture this scene. It's Christmas morning. The whole family's gathered around. Everyone's opening presents. And she's opening gifts from her siblings, her parents, maybe some from Harry's parents. And there's just nothing from Harry. Not a single wrapped box with her name on it from her boyfriend of 4 years, and she's supposed to not think that's weird. She's supposed to not feel hurt or confused about why her partner of 4 years didn't get her anything for Christmas. That's not romantic mystery. That's just uncomfortable and awkward. She's gonna spend the whole morning feeling some type of way about the fact that her boyfriend apparently forgot about her or doesn't care enough to get her anything, and then he springs a proposal on her. That's not the emotional journey you want someone on right before you ask them to marry you. So they go back and forth about this for a while. For a while, with Harry continuing to take the stance that getting engaged is definitely a gift. And I mean, I guess in the most technical sense, a ring is a physical object that you give someone. So it is a gift, but it's not a Christmas gift. It's an engagement ring. It's a completely different category. Our writer makes another really solid point. Harry's girlfriend will have absolutely bought him gifts. Multiple gifts, probably. Gifts that he will both appreciate and use, because that's what you do for your partner at Christmas when you've been together for 4 years. And an engagement is in no way the same kind of exchange. It's not like she can be like, "Oh, cool, you proposed to me, so here's a PlayStation 5 and some new shoes, we're even." That's not how engagements work. An engagement is not a transactional gift exchange. It's a mutual decision to commit to each other for life. Those are completely different things. Plus, our writer mentions that while Harry's girlfriend isn't materialistic, she is someone who appreciates the give and take of mutual present exchanges like Christmas, white elephants, stuff like that. So, this is someone who values the thoughtfulness and reciprocity of gift giving traditions, and Harry's about to completely ignore that because he thinks dropping a ring on her counts as checking the Christmas box. They didn't have a major fight or anything about this, which honestly shows maturity on both sides. But Harry said he's probably not going to share more about the engagement with the writer because they have differing views, which feels a bit dramatic, my guy. Your friend is trying to help you not mess up your proposal by making your girlfriend feel forgotten on Christmas morning, and you're freezing them out because they disagreed with you. Our writer is genuinely wondering if they're being a stubborn old fool about something they're clearly wrong about, which is why they're asking the internet for opinions. And I love that they added edits to address common comments because apparently people were getting distracted by the public proposal aspect and whether the writer is being too involved in their friend's life. On the first point, yes, we get it. The girlfriend would actually want a family proposal, so that part is fine, and we can all calm down about that. On the second point, this entire discussion lasted maybe 5 minutes while they were having a drink. It's not like the writer has been harassing Harry for weeks about this or staging an intervention. They had one brief conversation where the writer expressed concern. Harry said he wouldn't bring it up anymore, and they've spoken civilly about other topics since. That's what friends do. They tell you when you might be making a mistake. The writer even says they hope everyone has a friend or two who'll be honest with them if they think they're wrong. And they're absolutely right. What's the point of having close friends if they're just going to smile and nod while you do something potentially relationship damaging? Real friends tell you when you've got spinach in your teeth or when you're about to make your girlfriend feel unloved on Christmas. So let's break this down because I have thoughts. First of all, the whole concept of a proposal being a Christmas present is just categorically weird. Like, I'm trying to think of an analogy here. It's like if you got someone a puppy for Christmas and then was like, well, the puppy is your birthday present too, and also your Valentine's Day present, and actually this counts for the next 3 years of gifts. No, the puppy is the puppy. Other occasions still require their own acknowledgement. An engagement ring is a symbol of commitment and a promise of marriage. It's not a commodity that you exchange for having successfully completed another year of dating or for it being December 25th. It exists in its own category of meaningful gestures, completely separate from what did you get me for Christmas. And Harry's argument that the ring costs more than several presents combined is honestly kind of missing the point. Expensive doesn't automatically equal appropriate. If I bought you a car, but gave it to you on your birthday and then didn't get you anything for Christmas because, well, the car was expensive, you'd still be like, okay, but it's Christmas and you didn't get me anything. It's not about the monetary value. It's about the thought and effort put into celebrating specific occasions with your partner. It's about showing that you were thinking about them and what would make them happy on that specific day. Also, let's think about the practicality of this situation that our writer pointed out. It's Christmas morning, the whole family is there, everyone's opening presents. What is this poor woman supposed to think when there's nothing under the tree from her boyfriend? Is she supposed to just be cool with it? Is she supposed to not feel a little hurt or confused? Like, even if she's not materialistic, the absence of a gift from your partner of 4 years on a major gift-giving holiday is noticeable. It's going to create a weird vibe. Her siblings are opening gifts from their partners, she's watching everyone exchange presents, and she's got nothing from Harry. That's going to sting. That's going to make her feel forgotten or less important, even if logically she knows Harry loves her. And then after she's been sitting with those hurt feelings for however long present opening takes with a big family, he's going to propose. So now she has to process this major life moment while also processing the emotional whiplash of going from my boyfriend forgot about me to oh, he actually wants to marry me. That's not the emotional setup you want for one of the most important moments of your relationship. The proposal should be purely joyful. It shouldn't come with a side of but but also I was hurt and confused for the last hour because I thought you didn't care about me. Those feelings are going to be tangled up in her memory of the proposal forever. And let's talk about the optics from the family's perspective too. Her parents are sitting there watching their daughter get nothing from her boyfriend of 4 years on Christmas. Her siblings are probably exchanging glances like, is Harry okay? Did they have a fight? Everyone's going to notice, and it's going to create this uncomfortable atmosphere right before he proposes. Harry seems to think that the surprise of the proposal will override any negative feelings about not getting Christmas presents, but that's not how emotions work. You can feel two things at once. You can be excited about getting engaged and still feel a bit hurt that your partner didn't put thought into getting you something for Christmas. Plus, think about the message this sends. I'm asking you to commit to spending the rest of your life with me, but I couldn't be bothered to grab you a couple of presents for Christmas because I figured the ring would cover it. That's not exactly screaming, I'm thoughtful and will continue to put effort into our relationship after we're married. Uh, and our writer is spot on about the girlfriend having definitely bought Harry multiple presents. She's probably been shopping for weeks, thinking about what he'd like, wrapping things, excited to see his reaction when he opens them. And his contribution to their mutual Christmas celebration is nothing, because the proposal counts. That's not equitable. That's not the spirit of Christmas gift exchanges. She put in thought and effort and time to make him feel special and loved on Christmas. And he's essentially saying, well, I'm proposing, so I don't need to do that for you. It also kind of modifies the proposal in a weird way, like he's treating the engagement ring as a transaction. I give you this expensive thing, therefore I'm absolved from other gift-giving responsibilities. But that's not what an engagement is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a mutual expression of love and commitment, not a this expensive ring means I don't have to think about what sweater you wanted. Some people in the comments are apparently saying the writers shouldn't involve themselves too much in their friend's life, which is wild to me. This was a 5-minute conversation. The writer didn't stage an intervention or create a PowerPoint presentation on why Harry's wrong. They just expressed concern in a casual conversation, which is what friends do. And Harry's response of, I won't share more about the engagement with you because we have differing views, feels really defensive and immature. If your friend gives you feedback that you don't agree with, you can just say, thanks for your input, but I'm going to do it my way and move on. You don't have to freeze them out of this whole major life event because they suggested you should still get your girlfriend a Christmas present. The fact that Harry is getting defensive about this makes me wonder if deep down he knows the writer has a point but doesn't want to admit it. Because if he was truly confident in his decision, he could just be like, I hear you, but I'm comfortable with my choice, instead of shutting down the whole conversation. Here's what I think Harry should do, and what our writer was probably trying to gently suggest. Get the girlfriend a few Christmas presents. They don't have to be expensive. They can be small, thoughtful things that show he was paying attention to what she likes. A book she mentioned wanting, her favorite candy, some cozy socks, literally anything that shows I thought about you and what would make you happy on Christmas specifically. That way, she has things to open on Christmas morning. She feels loved and thought of. There's no weird, awkward moment where she's the only one with no gifts from her partner. And then he can propose, and it's purely joyful without any complicated feelings mixed in. The engagement ring and proposal can still be the main event. It's still going to be special and meaningful, and the biggest thing that happens that Christmas. But she'll also have had a normal Christmas gift exchange with her partner, like she's been looking forward to. And the proposal is the beautiful surprise on top of that, instead of the thing that's supposed to make up for the absence of presents. It's really not that complicated. You can do both things. In fact, doing both things makes the whole experience better for everyone involved. And and honestly, our writer gave Harry really good advice based on their own experience. They got engaged and their husbands still got them a birthday present the next month because engagement and regular life milestones are separate categories. That's not a wild or unreasonable perspective. That's just how most people handle these situations. So let's get to the verdict. Is the writer the asshole for telling their friend that proposing is not a suitable Christmas present? Absolutely not. The writer is not the asshole here. They gave their friend honest, thoughtful feedback based on a genuine concern that Harry's girlfriend might feel hurt or forgotten on Christmas morning. They weren't being controlling or overstepping. They were being a good friend who cares about both Harry and his girlfriend having the best possible experience. Harry is being a bit of an asshole, honestly, not for the proposal plan itself, but for his attitude about the gift situation and for freezing his friend out over a mild disagreement. He's being defensive instead of considering that his friend might have a valid point. And he's prioritizing saving time on Christmas shopping over making his girlfriend feel valued on an important holiday. Also, the ring is expensive, so it counts for multiple occasions mindset is just not it. That's not how relationships work. That's not how you show ongoing appreciation and love for your partner. You don't get to make one big purchase and then coast for several months. Writer, you were being a good friend. You pointed out a potential issue in a gentle way during a casual conversation. You used your own experience to illustrate your point. You weren't pushy or aggressive about it. And you're clearly coming from a place of wanting Harry's proposal to go well and wanting his girlfriend to feel loved, not from a place of wanting to control your friend's decisions. If Harry takes your advice, his proposal will probably go better. If he doesn't, well, hopefully his girlfriend is understanding about the no presents thing and doesn't spend Christmas morning feeling hurt and confused. But either way, you did your job as a friend by speaking up. Not the asshole. Not even a little bit. You're the kind of friend everyone should have. Someone who will tell you when you might be making a mistake, even if it's a bit awkward to bring up. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend I won't play with her until she learns to accept losing? Okay, so we've got someone asking if they're the asshole for telling their girlfriend they won't play chess with her anymore until she can handle losing like an adult. And honestly, this one is giving me flashbacks to every time I've tried to play competitive games with people I care about, and it's gone absolutely sideways. Let's get into this because there's actually more nuance here than you might think. Our writer is an experienced chess player who's been playing this game for literally as long as they can remember. We're talking since they were 4 or 5 years old. That's tiny. That's barely out of diapers. Their extended family loved chess, so they grew up in this environment where they could easily learn and practice it, which honestly sounds kind of nice. Like imagine family gatherings where instead of awkward small talk, you're just playing chess with your cousins and uncles. Their current rating is 1950 plus. And for those of you who don't know chess ratings, that's pretty damn good. That's not professional level, but that's solidly advanced. Like, this person knows what they're doing and has put in serious time. Now the girlfriend is at a lower intermediate level. She learned chess from our writer during lockdown. Yes, lockdown, when we all picked up random hobbies to cope with the existential dread of being stuck inside. But then she took a long break from it. She only started playing regularly again a couple months ago. So we're not talking about someone who's been grinding chess for years. We're talking about someone who's relatively new to taking it seriously. She mostly plays online against opponents at her level, which is smart. That's how you improve, by playing people who are around your skill level so you're challenged but not completely demolished. But she also plays with our writer almost daily on a physical board, which is where the problem comes in. The problem, as our writer puts it, is that he always wins. Every single time. Not sometimes, not most of the time. Always. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When she was a beginner, our writer used to give her wins and tips to help her build concepts, which is actually really good teaching. When you're learning something new, especially something as complex as chess, you need small victories to stay motivated, and you need guidance to understand what you're doing right and wrong. That's solid pedagogy right there. But now he doesn't do that anymore. He believes she should play fairly now, and he makes a really valid point. Chess is a game that requires focus, time, and mental effort. Playing it just to give away wins seems like too much to ask. And honestly, I kind of get it. If you're a serious chess player, deliberately losing games probably feels wrong on like a fundamental level. It's not fun for you, you're not getting anything out of it, and you're spending all this mental energy on a game where you're actively trying not to use your skills. That does sound exhausting. However, and this is a big however, the girlfriend gets mildly annoyed by this, which, like, yeah, I can imagine. Getting beaten every single day by your partner at something you're trying to get better at would be frustrating. There's a difference between playing people at your level online where you win some and lose some versus playing your boyfriend who has literally never lost to you in your entire relationship. But then yesterday, things escalated. When our writer was clearly winning, she flipped the board in anger. Not as a joke, she was legitimately serious about it. Just full on flipped the board, presumably sending chess pieces flying everywhere. Totally rage quit the whole situation. And okay, I'm going to be real with you. I laughed when I read this because the image of someone getting so mad at chess that they flip the physical board is kind of hilarious in an absurd way. But also, our writer was not amused. He felt really disrespected, which is totally fair. You're sitting there playing a game with someone, you're focused and invested in it, and they literally flip the board because they're losing? That's pretty childish behavior, not gonna lie. So our writer boldly told her to stick to online play until she starts accepting losses like an adult and handles the game maturely. Which is a harsh thing to say to your girlfriend, but also, like, she did just flip a board in anger, so maybe it needed to be said. She got upset about this, which is how we end up with our writer asking, "Am I the asshole?" All right, so let's break this down piece by piece because there's actually a lot going on under the surface here that's worth examining. First, let's talk about the skill gap issue. Our writer is rated 1950 plus, which means he's probably been playing seriously for decades at this point. His girlfriend is lower intermediate level and has been playing regularly for only a couple months. That gap is massive. Like, we're not talking about someone who's slightly better. We're talking about someone who's in a completely different universe of chess ability. To put this in perspective, it's like if a college varsity basketball player was playing one-on-one against someone who just learned the rules last year. Sure, they're both technically playing basketball, but the game is going to be completely one-sided every single time. The college player would have to actively handicap themselves for it to even be remotely competitive. And that's kind of the core issue here. Our writer doesn't want to handicap himself anymore. He did it when she was a complete beginner because that made sense for teaching purposes. But now that she's intermediate level, he thinks she should be able to handle playing fairly. But here's the thing. It's not really fair if one person literally never has a chance of winning. Fairness in a game isn't just about both people trying their hardest, it's about both people having a reasonable opportunity to succeed. When you're playing someone who's 1950 plus rated and you're lower intermediate, you don't have that opportunity. The game is basically decided before it starts. Now, our writer makes the point that chess requires focus, time, and mental effort, and playing just to give away wins seems like too much. And I genuinely do sympathize with this. If you're someone who's serious about chess and has been playing your whole life, throwing games probably feels wrong and unfun. You're essentially asking him to spend his free time doing something he doesn't enjoy just so his girlfriend can feel good about winning. But on the flip side, his girlfriend is spending her free time getting absolutely demolished every single day by someone who's supposed to be her partner. She's trying to improve at something. She's playing online against people her level. And then she comes to play with her boyfriend and gets crushed repeatedly. That's not exactly fun for her either. The board flipping incident is where things get spicy, though. Because look, I don't care how frustrated you are, flipping a board during a game is objectively immature behavior. That's something a kid does when they're mad, not what a grown adult should be doing. Our writer is completely justified in feeling disrespected by that. If she was frustrated about losing all the time, there are so many better ways she could have communicated that. She could have said, "Hey, I I'm not having fun playing with you anymore because I never win." She could have suggested they play with a handicap system. She could have just stopped playing with him and stuck to online opponents, but instead, she literally flipped the board, which is not only disrespectful to her partner, but also to the game itself. So our writer tells her to stick to online play until she can accept losses like an adult. And honestly, that's a pretty reasonable boundary to set after someone flips a game board at you. You don't have to keep playing games with someone who's going to have a tantrum when they lose. But here's where I think our writer might be missing something important. His girlfriend didn't just randomly develop poor sportsmanship. She's been playing with him almost daily, losing every single time for months now. That's a lot of losing. Even the most gracious loser in the world is going to get frustrated eventually when they literally never win. Think about it from her perspective. She learned chess from him during lockdown, probably thought it was fun, and wanted to share this hobby with her partner. She's been practicing, playing online, trying to improve. And every day she sits down to play with her boyfriend and gets beaten. Every single day. She never gets to experience the satisfaction of winning against him, never gets to feel like she's actually improved enough to give him a real challenge, never gets that little dopamine hit of success. And here's the kicker. She probably knows she's going to lose before they even start playing. There's no suspense, no excitement, no, maybe today will be different. It's just the inevitable march toward another loss, while her much more experienced boyfriend methodically dismantles whatever strategy she's trying to employ. That sounds miserable, honestly. Like, why would you keep doing that to yourself? The only reason she's probably still playing with him is because she wants to spend time with him doing something he loves. But the experience itself has got to be demoralizing. Now, does that excuse flipping the board? Absolutely not. That's still childish and disrespectful. But it does provide context for why she might have reached a breaking point. And our writer's response of learn to accept losing like an adult is technically correct, but also kind of misses the point. It's not really about accepting losing in general. She presumably accepts losses fine when playing online against people her level, where wins and losses are more evenly distributed. It's specifically about accepting losing to him every single time, forever, with no hope of it ever changing unless he deliberately lets her win. There's also something to be said about the gendered dynamics potentially at play here. A boyfriend teaching his girlfriend chess and then consistently beating her at it while telling her to handle it like an adult when she gets frustrated has some, let's say, not great optics. I'm not saying our writer is being intentionally condescending or sexist, but there's definitely a power dynamic there that's worth acknowledging. So, what's the solution here? Because clearly the current situation isn't working for either of them. I think the fundamental issue is that they're approaching these games with completely different goals and expectations. Our writer seems to view these games as serious chess matches where both players should try their hardest and may the best player win. That's a totally valid way to approach chess. But his girlfriend probably views these games as quality time with her boyfriend, where she'd like to occasionally not get completely destroyed. Those are two incompatible approaches. One person is playing competitive chess, the other person is playing relationship bonding time that happens to involve chess. Here's what I think could work. They need to have an actual conversation about what these games are for. If the girlfriend wants to improve at chess and get serious about it, then yeah, she probably should stick to playing people at her level online and maybe find a chess club or coach. Playing someone way above your skill level repeatedly isn't actually the best way to improve anyway. But if what she actually wants is to spend time with her boyfriend doing something he's passionate about and occasionally feel good about her gameplay, then they need to implement some kind of handicap system. Our writer could play with fewer pieces or give himself a time disadvantage or play blindfolded, which is apparently a thing chess people do, or something to level the playing field enough that she has a fighting chance. Uh, Or they could play puzzle solving together instead of against each other. There are tons of chess puzzles and scenarios where you work together to find the best move. That way, they're both engaging with chess, but it's collaborative instead of competitive. The point is, there are solutions here that don't involve either person being miserable or feeling disrespected. Now, let's address some of the specific points. Our writer says chess requires too much focus, time, and mental effort to play just to give away wins. And while I understand that, buddy, if playing chess with your girlfriend feels like a chore that you have to suffer through, maybe you just shouldn't play chess with your girlfriend? Like, that's an option. You can have hobbies that you don't share with your partner. It's actually healthy to have separate interests. But if you do want to share chess with her, then you need to find a way to make it enjoyable for both of you, which might mean making some accommodations. That's what you do in relationships. You compromise and find solutions that work for everyone involved. The girlfriend's board flipping is inexcusable, though. Let's be clear about that. I don't care how frustrated you are. You don't get to destroy game pieces or disrespect your partner's property because you're mad about losing. That's not okay. She needs to apologize for that and commit to not doing it again. But I also think our writer could have been more empathetic in his response. Instead of learn to accept losing like an adult, which is pretty harsh and dismissive, he could have said something like, I understand you're frustrated, but flipping the board isn't okay. Let's talk about why you're getting so upset and figure out a better way to play together. Because here's the thing, the board flip wasn't really about that one game yesterday. That was accumulated frustration from months of losing, finally boiling over into one immature moment. If our writer had been paying attention to how his girlfriend was feeling about their games over time, they probably could have addressed this before it got to the board flipping stage. Some people in the comments are probably going to say she's just a sore loser, or if she can't handle losing, she shouldn't play competitive games, but I think that's overly simplistic. Losing occasionally is part of games and sports and life. Losing literally 100% of the time to your partner who has way more experience than you is a different situation entirely. One of those things teaches you resilience and sportsmanship. The other one just teaches you that you'll never be good enough. And before anyone says, well, she should just practice more and get better, sure, but she's never going to get to our writer's level. He's been playing since he was 4. He grew up in a chess family. He's rated 1950 plus. Even if she practices every day for years, the gap is so huge that she'd probably still lose to him most of the time. So if the only acceptable outcome is her getting good enough to beat him fairly, that's basically setting her up for infinite frustration. Okay, so let's get to the actual verdict here because I've been going back and forth on this one. Is the writer the asshole for telling his girlfriend he won't play with her until she learns to accept losing? Eh, I'm going to say ESH, everyone sucks here, but with caveats. The girlfriend sucks for flipping the board. That's childish, disrespectful, and not an appropriate way to handle frustration. She's an adult and she needs to use her words when she's upset instead of having a tantrum. She should apologize for that specific incident and commit to better communication going forward. But our writer also kind of sucks for being seemingly oblivious to his girlfriend's mounting frustration and for responding to her outburst with what amounts to get good and stop being a baby. He's technically right that she needs to handle losses better, but he's missing the bigger picture about why she's so frustrated in the first place. The real issue isn't that she's a sore loser, it's that their approach to playing chess together isn't working for either of them. She's not having fun getting destroyed every day, and he's not having fun feeling obligated to either crush her or deliberately throw games. That's a systemic problem, not a character flaw. So here's my advice to our writer. Yeah, you're justified in not wanting to play with someone who flips the board when they lose. That's a reasonable boundary. But also, have a real conversation with your girlfriend about what you both want out of playing chess together. If she wants to spend quality time with you and occasionally feel successful, figure out a handicap system or a different way to engage with chess together that makes that possible. If she wants to seriously improve at chess, encourage her to play more with people at her level and maybe find a coach. If you don't actually enjoy playing chess with her and it feels like a chore, then just don't do it and find a different shared hobby. But don't just write this off as she needs to learn to be a better loser, because that's ignoring the actual relationship issue here, which is that you two want different things out of this activity and haven't communicated about it effectively. And girlfriend, if you're reading this somehow, apologize for flipping the board. That was not it. But also, tell your boyfriend clearly what you're actually upset about. It's not really about that one game yesterday. It's about the accumulated frustration of months of losing. Be honest about whether you're actually having fun playing with him. And if you're not, suggest some alternatives. Communication is key. Not quite the asshole, but definitely missing the point, my guy. This isn't about her learning to lose gracefully. It's about you two figuring out how to share an activity you love in a way that's actually enjoyable for both of you. And that requires more than just play better and stop being mad. Talk to your girlfriend. Like, actually talk, not just tell her what she needs to fix. Figure this out together. That's what partners do.